Hello, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is kind of a spur of the moment pop on for me. And so I'm just so happy to be on here and to have you all join me. The reason why I jumped on today, I kind of wanted to test this new system out for one, and the healing space. I'm starting the podcast, and we'll talk about grief, life, things that are just going on today with us to help us all be in a better and a healthy space, both mentally and physically. And also, today is the birthday of my oldest son, who passed away August 1st, 2020. Today is his birthday. And the reason I'm getting on here today is when we have those moments and we have our loved ones and they pass away, sometimes it's really hard to kind of get through those days. And I said, hey, not today, not today. I am going to take back my control, take back my power, and I am going to share his birthday with you guys and encourage somebody else who may also be going through the same thing, who may be grieving a loved one. The holidays just passed, birthdays are always happening. And when we lose someone so close to us, it's hard. It's hard, especially like today is today. His birthday, he would have been 28 today. And so we are approaching August 1st of this year will be the 5-year mark that he is not with me. So I just wanted to share this with you. And like I said, if I could encourage somebody else along the way, glory to God. Because I know that it is God who has truly kept me. And I know that it is God that is keeping you. And I know that his peace is surrounding us. We will get through it. He said he promised to never leave us. He promised to never forsake us, but he never promised that we wouldn't go through hardship. He never promised that we would not feel the sting, feel the effects of things that happen to us on a day-to-day basis. But he did promise that he will never leave us. He did promise that he will send the comforter to comfort us. And so I just want to reflect his love through me on this day. I said, I am not going to let today get me down. I am going to take today and I am going to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate the time that I had with Ashton. I'm going to celebrate that God gave me such an amazing human being. And if anyone is a mother that has lost a child, or if you have lost a parent, someone that you love, someone close to you, I'm just here to encourage you that yes, it may be hard, but you will get through it. By the grace of God, we will all get through difficult times. And so I just wanted to share, just a few things on today, because I know that it's more than just myself. I know I'm not by myself. I'm not the only one who's gone through the grieving process, who misses someone. And just to tell you a little bit about my son and what happened with him was he went to college, HBCU college out in Tyler, Texas. He pretty much worked hard and he got there pretty much by himself. He worked so hard and he got discovered at a scrimmage, and he went to college on a football scholarship. And he always said, Mom, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to make it. And he, at this point in his life, about 20, 23, he always said, I'm going to take care of you. He started stepping up, kind of thinking, he's the oldest son, trying to be the head and trying to take his responsibility as an older brother, oldest son really seriously, and trying to encourage his younger brother and sisters, even his older sister, trying to encourage them and let them know that they can do it, that he was there. Well, COVID happened, and COVID shut down the dorms where he was at in Tyler, Texas. And when they shut down the dorms, he had to come home like in one day. They had to pay for a plane ticket and get him back home. Well, him and my other son, my middle son, went to a party in Las Vegas while he was out here in the middle of COVID. They had no business there, but went there. There was probably over 100 people at this house, and at a, those being Airbnbs in Vegas, and the house got shut up. And unfortunately, my son was the only one who was shot and killed. Out of all the people in the house, he was the only one that was killed on that day. And that event, it pretty much rocked my world, and it was hard to fathom. It was hard to stomach that. I was asleep and getting ready to go to work, and woke up and I had about 100 calls. I kid you not, missed calls on my phone. I was working 2 jobs at the time, single mother at the time, and I didn't hear the phone because I was just that tired. And so I had to go all the way out to Las Vegas to identify him and, talk to the police. And I had to drive by myself. And thank God for my spiritual dad, my pastor, Chief Apostle Michael L. Rose, who walked me through it the whole way. The minute that I found out that at first I thought he was just shot in the middle of driving. I was probably almost 3 hours in, and then I found out that he wasn't shot, that he was actually deceased. And one of the first persons that I called was my pastor, and he prayed with me and walked me through, while I was driving to Vegas. So I found this out on the highway, thinking that I was just going to go see my son at the hospital, but no, he had already been killed. That's a little bit about my story with that. And, through God's grace and love, through the love of God through people who helped me and held my hand and encouraged me and spoke life into me. And I never knew how much love and how much support I really had until this event happened, and everybody pretty much just got behind me and and basically held my hand. And so on this thing here, unfortunately, I cannot see all the names who's on, but I think I saw my auntie Faith and mom and whoever else is on. God bless you. God bless you. Like I said, I'm trying out this new platform because the healing space will be an ongoing thing. I'm going to start regularly, hopefully next month, at least twice a month, to come and encourage people when it comes to grief. And just because today I am talking about a loved one passing, grief comes in many forms and facets. Grief just doesn't mean death. Grief can be losing a relationship, losing a friend. It could be grieving. Sometimes we grieve who we used to be, you know. Especially by me. I don't know if anybody had heard my story about my brain surgery in October. I was perfectly fine going to work. My whole left side went numb, and I was dragging my foot, and I couldn't feel my left side. I thought I was having a stroke. I drove myself to the hospital in that condition, and they told me, no, you're not having a stroke, but you do have a large tumor on your brain, which is causing the effects. And I went in on October 17th, and on the 23rd to the 23rd, I was still in the hospital, and they operated and removed the mass from my brain on October the 23rd of last year. And I'm still recovering, still in therapy. But I'm getting stronger. And like I said, it's just by the grace of God that I am still here. But even in that, sometimes, you have a tendency to get frustrated at yourself because, you know, the old me could do 20 things at one time, and then trying to be patient with yourself, and like, you just did this a couple of days ago, why can't you do it today? Sometimes God has shown me that people are grieving who they used to be, what they used to could do. Sometimes with age, sometimes things happen where we may be a little slower. We may not be as fast. We may not can do as much as we could in our 20s as we can in our 40s and 50s and 60s. And sometimes, that could be a hard pill to swallow. Especially when you're used to doing things at a certain capability, and sometimes you can't do it the way that you used to do it. So just understanding that some people are even grieving who they used to be, what they used to could do, but just learning how to embrace the now at the capacity at where you can do things now. Even grieving my son, for a while I had to take off. I couldn't work certain jobs any longer because of the mental trauma of losing my son that it took. So I couldn't take a lot of high stress jobs. That's why when I went from customer service and administrative jobs that people were surprised to see me in a security uniform, they were kind of like, that's not you, that's not you. But I had to take on something that was going to still pay the bills and still be able for me to function at the capacity that I could function in at the moment. And that's okay. Sometimes death and grief sometimes can make you adjust, but it's okay if you have to adjust. Just know that God is with you in that adjustment, and God walked me through the whole way of the adjustment. And the reason why I am here today is because of God's grace, God's love, God's mercy. His love never ends for us. And Ashton's death and the things that I have gone through in my life has actually helped shape me and mold me. I never knew how strong that I actually was until I actually went through something, until I went through the death. Where years ago, something of that major capacity would have destroyed me. Uh, but I used to ask God, like, why you didn't prepare me for this? What is this? How, when my dad had passed away, God had put it in my spirit to make sure you go see your dad, make sure you go see your dad. And I had a feeling that something was getting ready to happen. And I kid you not, within 2 weeks, my dad had passed away, just suddenly. And so I couldn't understand why God did not give me a warning. And I asked him why you did not prepare me for my son's death. But he told me, I did prepare you. I sent you to a church on 112th and Avalon in Los Angeles, California. At the time, it was a little white church on the corner, little in size, but big in power. And there I grew spiritually. Guys, get into a powerful anointed church. I know a lot of people say you don't need the four walls. We are the church and all of that. There's strength in numbers. There's strength in unity. That's why God emphasizes so much on unity. Because had I not been part of that community, where when something tragic like this happened, I don't know where I would be. They were able to uplift me, pray for me, encourage me. And I was stronger at that time in my spiritual walk than before. So a lot of times people think just because you're in God or you're saved, you'll never go through anything. It seems like at that moment, I was stronger in my walk than I had ever been with God. And then something like this happens. But it also taught me, like I said, how strong that I actually was, how strong I actually am. I used to consider myself kind of weak because I was always so nice and so loving. And then it seemed like people would just run over me. And in that moment, I realized that I was stronger than I had ever been, you know, and but only through God. Is greater is He that is in me. I could, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So it was only by Him that I could actually, resting and abiding in Him, that I could actually get through these things. So I just wanted to honor my son's memory by getting on. What actually helps me is to help you. What helps me is to encourage you that you can do this. No matter what you're facing, no matter where you are in life. And sometimes it just seems like things can just happen back to back. And you're like, Lord, when will this ever end? My best suggestion is to you is slow down and ask God, where's the lesson? What in this is He trying to show you? Because that's exactly what I had to do. As soon as I got from the crime scene where my son was, and when I got to the hotel room, I said, "There's a test in here somewhere, Lord, and I gotta get it right this time because I can't afford to have to go through this test again. Show me what it is that you need to show me." And in that, all He wanted was me. He wanted my yes. Running from my calling, uh, and then right after that had happened, and as soon as we buried my son, two weeks later, I was ordained or ordained in the office of the prophet. So, there were some things that I had to go through before I could get to that elevation. And um, one thing that I am confident in is that I am going to see Him one day. Just not right now. I got some assignments to fill, but he was an angel on earth. He was a gentle giant, I call him. Right in the middle of COVID, we had the funeral. I didn't think anybody was going to show up. And I rented a pretty big church, and there was an overflow. There were people out in the streets, in the middle of COVID. My son had touched so many lives and touched so many people. Um, and that was just God showing me, like, wow, look who you raised. That in the middle of a pandemic, that these people would come out and they would come see Him. People have flew from different states just to come and to his funeral to pay their respects. And right now, I hear there's a big thing going on, and my other kids, they're turning up. For my son's birthday, but hey, I'm not turning up. I'm turning up with Jesus and with y'all. So you guys are my turn up, right? Right. So I'm just glad to be on here. And if I, like I said, just offer any type of encouragement, I hope anything that I am saying helps. If you are going through it, just know that you are not alone. God is with you. And I'm always available. I'm always available. I say grief coach, yes, coaching is a business, but I am God's servant first. If you ever need prayer, if you're going through some things, you don't know how you're going to get through, you're grieving loved one, you're going through a situation, uh, I'm never too busy to pray. I'm never too busy to pray for you. Like I said, I'm God's servant first, and I'm about my Father's business first. And so I am always there. So I just wanted to share a few things with you. I am going to share my screen. Okay, let me make sure because this is my first time using this platform. I just want to make sure that you guys can see what I'm saying. So let's see. I'm sure that you guys can see. What I see. So let's see. I see. I'm looking at my phone. So hi, Shanette. Hi, I miss you. Let's see here. Okay. I see. I'm looking at my phone. So hi, Shanette. Hi, I miss you. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. So. I see. I'm looking at my phone. So hi, Shanette. Hi, I miss you. Let's see here. I don't see what it is that I'm trying to show you guys. I don't see what it is that I'm trying to show you guys. Okay, can anyone tell me if they see a slide presentation on the screen? Okay, can anyone tell me if they see a slide presentation on the screen? Hi, Apostle Mo, my big brother. I love you. Let's see. Okay, well, if you can't see it, hi, Apostle Mo, my big brother. So if you guys can't see it, I'm just going to go ahead and share what I have. So we're going to start out with what is grief? And grief is a natural response to loss, but it affects everyone differently. Everyone has a different path, a different journey when it comes to grief. No one's grief process is the same. So don't expect it to be the same, and don't let anyone put that on you that you should grieve like they grieved or like so and so grieved. Your journey is different. And just know that grief is not a process, but it's a process and it's not a destination. Grief is not a race, how fast you could get to the end. There's a process along the way that you have to go through for your healing. And sometimes it does not happen overnight. So just know that you're not racing to feel better or get better. Go through the process, go through the healing, let it do what it's supposed to do. But the important thing is just don't stay in that same place. Try to get out of that place, push forward as much as you can. And then there is no right or wrong way to grieve, only your way. That grieving process is between you and God. So not necessarily is only your way, but God will help you get through it. If you talk to him like you talk to your friends and just say, hey, God, I ain't feeling it today. Today is a rough one. I need your help. I need your strength. If you ask God for his strength to help you get through, he will definitely see you through. So you just have to have faith and trust that he will bring you through. Grief can also make you feel powerless, and that's a lie. You do have power. In his word, it says he has given us power. He has given his power. God is all powerful. When you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, his spirit is inside of you. He is inside of you. If God is all powerful and he is inside of you, guess what? You have the power. You have the power because he lives on the inside of us. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. And so I just wanted to share that with you and just some ways that you can take back your power, because of the fact that sometimes you can feel like you're powerless. Like sometimes grief can have you in a place where sometimes you're just sitting there just stunned, like, did this just really happen? What could I have done? I should have did something, shoulda, woulda, coulda. And it just feels like sometimes like everything has been stripped from you. But guess what? You know what? Acknowledge that you have those feelings. It's nothing wrong with acknowledging that you have those feelings. You know how a lot of times they say, um, Once you can admit your issues, then you can heal. So once you acknowledge your feelings, then you know what direction you need to head. And feel your emotions without shame. If you're a little bit angry, it's okay to be angry. The Bible says, be angry, but sin not. It's okay to be a little bit angry. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to just feel like, sometimes you just feel like the rug has just been ripped right from under you. You're human. You're going to feel those things. Have no shame in that. Even with my walk in God, sometimes, the enemy would come and say, oh, you don't really believe in God because look how you're acting. No, yes, I do believe in God. And yes, I do trust God, but I am human. I'm allowed to have a human moment. Having a human moment does not mean that you don't trust God, that you don't believe God. You're human and he expects that of us. But then you pull yourself together and say, God, there's nothing that I can do. You take control. You have this and you have me. And so then you want to shift from why to what's next. When something tragic happens, and it doesn't have to be death, it could be you lost your job, it could be you were having a good conversation with a friend and then they turn left and then all of a sudden they don't want to have nothing to do with you. So we ask ourselves, when things happen, when things change, relationship things and relationships change and we lose things, sometimes we have the tendency to ask a whole lot of whys. When you have a toddler and you say, do this, they go, why? And you say, do that, why? Why? And you be like, would you stop saying why? That's probably how God probably feels. Will they ever stop saying why and just trust me? But shift from why to what's next. Okay, what's next? Because we can't change what happened. At this point, we have to figure out what's the next step. What can I do from here to get up? What can I do from here to help me feel better, to grieve, to heal? What's next? We lose our job. We can't sit there and cry because some of us was making some really good money on some of those jobs. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And then we're looking, and sometimes the jobs that are out there are paying way less than what you're paying. And some people will actually sit there and pout and won't go look for another job because they're mad because the next job doesn't pay like the previous job. Okay, stay there. And they're going to come and take the car. They're going to come turn off the lights. They're going to turn off the. So at some point, we have to figure out what's next. What do I do next? If you couldn't get out the bed yesterday, get out. Try to attempt to get out the bed tomorrow. If it's nothing but to go to the front porch, just do something. So instead of asking, why did this happen? Ask, what can I do to move forward? And understand that small steps lead to big healing. I love that. Small steps leads to big healing. All God needs is just a little bit. Faith of a mustard seed. And he could do a whole lot with that. And so next, I just wanted to just say, rewrite your story. Grief doesn't define you. It refines you. Find purpose in your pain through journaling, faith, or helping others. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. In order for me not to fall in that funk, that depression tried to creep up, that woe is me try to creep up, and I say, oh no, devil, not today. You won't get me today. I'm going to get up from here and I'm going to do something different. And that's where I made up in my mind today that I'm going to take this moment to encourage somebody else that may be going through the same thing that I'm going through. Like I said, it may not be death, but you could have just gotten some bad news about your health. Someone, a loved one, a child or something, and I have a child that, even after my son passed away, got sentenced to 18 years in prison. A lot of people don't know that. So I also have to, after losing my son, I also had to grieve that my one of my youngest children, the one I call the babies, I have two that are like neck and neck. And as soon as my daughter turned 18, she was sentenced to 18 years in prison. They knocked some of it down, and now it's only 11 years, but I'm believing God that she will get out of there sooner. So, so that's another grief process that I had to go through, knowing that your loved one is still around, but you can't put your hands on them. I'm used to waking up to her, poking her head in, hey, mom, hey, this. That's a lot to handle. But guess what? It doesn't define me. It's going to refine me. I had to eventually stop getting in the woe is me phase. And then I got into the angry phase. Not angry at the world, but I started getting angry at the situation and say, hey, no more pity party. I'm going to do something. I'm going to take this devil. If you mess with me and you mess with my children, guess what? I'm going to mess with you, and I'm going to do what it is and fully walk into who God called me to be, because you tried me. You try me. So now you're going to have to deal with me. Now you got to deal with my father. And so helping others is a way to rewrite your story. Journaling, write things down, because sometimes what helps is you could start off in a bad state. And when you journal, you write things down, and writing things down also brings things out of you. And then you also know how to pray. Sometimes people say, well, when I go to pray, I don't know what to say. Write it down. What are you dealing with? This is what I felt today. I felt angry today. I felt bitter today. I was snappy at everybody, bad disposition, bad this. Write it down. And then take all those things you journaled about and pray on it. Take it to God and ask God to help you with that so that you can get better as time goes on. And then, as far as faith, have faith and trust in God that He will bring you through. He has you. Like I said earlier, He said He will never leave you or forsake you. Some of these things that we go through, they actually birth purpose. If I had not lost my son, I probably would have never wrote a book. Not saying it's good that but in that pain, I had to go through it. It was probably going to happen regardless or not. So in that pain, I had to look at it, and then I wrote a book. So I wrote this book here. This is the first book I ever have written, and it is called I Choose to Live, Pushing Through the Grieving Process. And it's on Amazon, and I do have maybe like about 3 or 4 copies. If you would like one, by all means, just message me and I can get you out a copy. And so I would have never wrote this book. And this book also led to this journal. And this is the I Choose to Live journal. Like I said, it is also on Amazon. And in this particular journal, it is a self-guided journal. Um, you can write things down. It gives you more things to write about. You like self-care log. Your stages of grief. Are you still in denial or shock? Or are you angry and in pain? Are you bargaining with yourself? Oh, I should have did this. I could have did this. Are you feeling a little bit depressed and lonely? And just acknowledging the different stages that you are in. And it also asks you, what are you missing most about your loved one? What are you grateful for today? what makes you feel better? What are your healing goals? And then you can find, as time goes on, when you write these down, you have something to refer back to and say, hey, I think I'm a little bit better this week than I was last week. Oh, I wrote this 2 or 3 months ago. I couldn't even hardly get out of the bed 2 or 3 months ago, but hey, look at me. I'm going to church. I'm joining some groups. I'm doing some things that I've never done before. So, like I said, if you want any of these, just message me. Those are also on Amazon as well. And so, because I wrote those particular books, then that's when everybody started asking me, hey, how did you do it? I want to write a book. I want to write a book. And can you help? Can you help? And that's what birthed the publishing company. And the publishing company, is does quite well. I do a lot of word of mouth, but right now I'm going from just publishing to educating. And I love to help people thrive. And if I can even teach you how to do it yourself, invest and learn how to do it yourself, because there's only one me. There's only so many books that one person can publish. But if I can help you learn these things and start doing them on your own, I would love to show you how to birth your dreams and get your books out. There's somebody out there waiting to hear your testimony. And a book can go into places that a lot of us physically cannot get into. And so there's always someone who may be going through something similar that you're going through, that needs your guidance and who would love to hear your testimony. And so you will be hearing a lot more things. I'm doing a lot more restructuring with the publishing company. It's Young at Heart Publishing Company, and I always refer to it as Ya Publishing Company. And we're doing a lot of things. We're getting ready to do some master classes on writing, helping people overcome the fear of writing. You have more in you than what you know that you have in you. And, I say every person has a different gift. I know I've been ordained in the office of the prophet, and every leader has a different grace on them, I would say, anointed for something. And I know mine is love and encouragement. There's some prophets who will preach hell and brimstone, and you'll have a come to Jesus moment real quick, but I know mine is showing God's love, letting people feel and know the love of God through me, and to also encourage you to live your best life. Stop harboring on things of the past. That's what he's kind of give me to talk about a lot. Holding on things from the past, which is basically stunting our growth to grab what God has for us in the future. So, and that's what I love to do. I love to encourage. That's why even my publishing company, I try to keep costs low, because I want them to be affordable, where you can actually birth out your dreams, birth out the things that are in you. God gave you dreams and visions for a purpose, such a time as this. And I feel for a lot of people, now is the time to birth those things that he has placed in you. I know one thing God told me, because I didn't like to speak, to get on here is a lot. I like to be in the background, but God even told me, he said, I didn't save you to keep your mouth shut. I didn't save you. You're a prophet. You have to speak. And what I placed in you, you have to release. And the time is now. And so a lot of us, God has saved us. He has saved us from so much. And now is the time to tell the world about his goodness, because through telling the world about his goodness, somebody will come out and say, I want to know about your God. Who is this Jesus that you're talking about that died on the cross for my sins? And that's what telling your testimony and what God has done for you will do. And I'm not going to be on here much longer, but I did want to introduce my latest project, and it's called When Love Covers. And it's kind of talking about that very thing. You can love people pretty much out of hell. Because if by you showing God's love through you, letting God work through you, you being a vessel of God and showing his love to the nations, to people around you. And a lot of times you are the only witness that they see. And so When Love Covers, it's a really good book. I'm really proud of it. And that is available. And that's actually available on my website, and that's yawpublishingllc.com. So go check it out. My latest, and this is the back. So, so if you have anything, any publishing needs, or you may know how to publish your book and you just need some direction, I'm here for you and I can coach you through that as well. And let's see here. I'm trying to. Oh, my sunshine. Now, Miss Sunshine Pace here, she got married when what, maybe about a month or two ago? And right before she got married, I believe, she didn't come out with just one book. She came out with 3 books at one time. Okay, y'all. So check her out. And she's on there. She's in the chat, and put your information up there. And so she has 3 books that she came out with, and that's what I'm talking about. You guys have so much in you that needs to come out, and what God has placed in you is going to bring you your multiple streams of income. If you listen to his voice, follow his voice, he will give you the plan and the direction that you need to go. And so I'm going to see if I can quickly, let me see if this thing here will let me show you one more thing, since it wouldn't let me show you my slide. Let me see here. I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to see if they let me show you this. Okay, no, it's not. So I was going to show a quick video of my son. I'll just post it on my Facebook page because it's not acting right. So that is it for today. I hope that everybody kind of got some encouragement, that there was something in here that can encourage you. Like I said, happy birthday to my son, Ashton. Like I said, he would have been 28 this year. And, he is truly missed. He is truly missed. But by sharing a little bit of him with you, I feel so much better. I feel so much better. And in the process, hopefully that I've uplifted someone else and encourage you to just keep pushing forward, keep moving forward, and just know that God loves you. He cares for you. We will go through trials and tribulation. A lot of times says that God loves me. Why did he allow me to go through this? And that's that why, move past the why, but sometimes when you go through it and you can look back, you can notice, like I said, maybe how stronger you were. Sometimes your pain turned into purpose. I found myself doing things now that I probably would have never done before. So I can't bring my son back, but what I can do is honor his memory by moving forward, because I know he's always encouraged me, Mom, you could go back to school. Mom, you can do this. Mom, you can do that. I would be, dishonoring him if I sat and did nothing. So this is a way I know my son would be proud. I know he would be happy of me having my books out, creating the company, because that's what he was about. Because before he passed, he was moving and shaking and setting some things up, to try to keep some residual income coming until he had got into stocks, and he was getting ready to sell cars, and he had some things in place. He wasn't just sitting still. On top of, he only had one more semester left to complete his bachelor's. And so when he passed, it had probably been almost a year, and they still sent me an award saying that he was still on the honor roll. So I thank God for that. I thank God for his life. I thank God for the time that God loaned him to me, and now he is back with him. Because we are just, we're spirits living in a fleshly vessel. And so if you're in him, if you're in Christ, your spirit will be returned back to our Father, and we will reign and live with him. And so just if there's anyone today, if you say, I want to know that God, who is that God, Jesus, who died on the cross for you, he loves you, he accepts you with open arms, and you just talk to him and let him know that you would like for him to come in your heart today, and he will come in. He does not force himself on anyone. So thank you guys for listening to me ramble for about an hour, almost an hour. I thank you guys, and I love you, and you have a great day.